Hello everyone, I'm Aziz Patel and I'm in the brilliant company of meeting a good friend of ours, Jim Halliburton. Hi Jim.
Hello, pleased to meet you. Thanks for inviting me to talk to you.
Oh, well, thank you very much for inviting us to your wonderful offices. What I was going to ask for the viewers out there, who is Jim?
Right, who's Jim? I sometimes wonder myself. My name's Jim Halliburton, also known as HMO Daddy. I've got quite a bit of a reputation for having lots of HMOs. I've got now about 102 houses in multiple occupation, shared houses, something I started about 20 years ago when I was a college lecturer and the college was short of accommodation. I'd always wanted to get into property, but unfortunately I was married at the time and my wife wasn't very keen on me doing that. So anyway, eventually got my first property, started letting to students, and it was quite profitable. So I continued to build up a portfolio over the years, and now, as I say, got over 102 HMOs and about 30 single lets.
That's really interesting. Now, for viewers who are watching online, what's the difference between what you do and a landlord who might have one or two properties in terms of your experience and how they can benefit with your wisdom?
Yeah, that's a difficult one because the world keeps changing and you have to reinvent yourself. So how I got most of my properties would be very difficult to replicate today. So there isn't very much difference, except they've got 2 and I've got 102. But the last one I got was a new challenge, a new experience. The only difference is having that behind me gives me probably a lot more confidence to go ahead and do it. While if I remember back to my early days, I was very nervous about buying property, acquiring property. The strategies that I use today actually existed then, and I did in fact use them, but I didn't have the confidence. Now I'm much more happier to use all the strategies that are out there, and I don't worry too much about them. There is always the if, there's always the but, and what about tomorrow and all the rest of it. And after a period of time, probably with a background, you have more confidence to do it. So the only difference is I've got a bit more confidence because I done it a bit more often. The person with 2 could do exactly the same as I would, though I wouldn't necessarily recommend it. I would say to my, I run courses on how to do it. I invite people to come up and see my properties. I'm one of the few trainers out there who say you can come and walk it. I even allow people to come and stay in my HMOs, free accommodation if you want to, and that's a bit of a joke. You can come and stay in a HMO, but I take you around, you can see it, smell it, meet the tenants, as well as learn about how to do it. So there's no excuse now. I even do a mentorship where you can come and work with me and learn how to do the business and have the experience of it, which I never had in the early days. So even though I've got the confidence, I can help you have the confidence to go ahead and do the business. And there is a need for this. The social sector is collapsing. There is a need for a lot more small accommodation. There is a desperate shortage of this, and we do it, I think, in the private sector very well, and certainly far more cost effectively than the social sector does.
Now, generally, I'm not saying this myself just to promote Jim, but if you're looking for growing your business in HMOs and you just want to meet a person who's been doing this for the last 2 decades or even longer, Jim, for
20
time
years.
when you started, then it's certainly worth you investing some time. Bring a friend or bring a family member with you. Come down to Darlaston, which is where we are here in this office, and certainly get the opportunity to meet Jim and see his hands-on approach as to how he's built up his portfolio, but in the way he manages and has systems in place to not only grow his business but be able to sustain it in the current market. Because I came down here and I must admit I learned something with regards to the HMOs that we have up in Yorkshire. What are the tips generally you would give to people who are watching this for the first time, particularly investors who they've reached a crossroad? You know, there's many out there who've maxed out on their finance, or generally speaking the property they're looking to buy, it's not necessarily because of the price, it's because they just don't have the credit. So what tips would you give them? Right,
You have to be very careful to generalise. The UK is not a homogeneous property market. You've got about this area has much relationship, say, to London property market, certainly central London property market, as it has to Botswana. In this area, it's never been a better time to get into property. You don't need money. There is no excuse for not getting into property, because now it's well established, the rent-to-rent strategies, where you just rent a property and then rent it on to as an HMO, and that's a fantastic cash flowing way of doing it. You're getting into property with no money down. I quite often negotiate rent-free periods because I'm taking tired properties off landlords that need work off them, so it's costing me nothing to do this, and quite often you can also have the option to purchase, so as finance gets better. So the only thing is stopping you is you. You can do it without any difficulty in this market, and you can learn, because there's people like myself who are quite happy to share our experiences. As I said before, you can come up and learn how to do it. Look at my website, HMODaddy.com. It's quite an easy website.
Details at the bottom of this page, by the way.
And it tells you about the courses I do, and I even offer a free mentorship where people can learn how to get into property. So there's just absolutely no excuse for those of you who want to get into property, but understand what you're getting yourself in for. The exciting part is always acquiring property. The long drudge is managing the properties over a period of time, but it's certainly worthwhile. I like to relate it to having children. The creation is quite fun, but then you've got 20 years of bringing them up. The difference is children leave you broke, while the property by that time will have probably quadrupled in value and be producing an enormous income from you. One HMO would set you up in 20 years' time with a very good pension. So imagine what 5 or 10 would do for you. It is so good, and it's not. It doesn't take that much work either. So replace your job if you want to replace your job.
So what opportunities are there for certainly joint venture partners or people who've got cash in the bank sitting there? I'm sure you know yourself, and you can resonate off the interest rates currently if you've got your money sitting in the bank. What's the advantage of getting in touch with investors such as yourself, Jim, in what you're doing?
Fantastic advantage for both of us. This is where we can both score. Yes, you can pick up properties for nothing on rent to rent, but in the current depressed market there are fantastic bargains to be had out there if you've got the cash. But most of the time it requires cash to buy, cash to renovate, then you can remortgage. And most of the deals I offer my JV investors are, I think, the very best that could be possibly offered to anyone. Lend me the money, but it's you don't actually lend the money to me, you buy the property, it's in your name, we'll get it set up for you, you just write the cheque, and then we mortgage it, you get all your money back, possibly even some more as well. So every time you buy a property, you get to own a property, you get a good income from it, and you have all your money back, and probably even more. And I will do all that for you. There's so many opportunities up here, I can't deal with them all. So if people have got money and they want to use it, and they're just quite happy to sign the cheque, become an armchair investor, or if they want to get involved, I always give my JVs full opportunity to get involved in the business, learn how to do it. They can go away and repeat it in their own area. So again, if you've got the money, easy way of getting into business without any risk, because you own the property and you have the income from that property, because multi-letting is a wonderful source of maximising the profitability of a property.
So just to summarise, if you're a joint investor and you've got a wad of cash, or you've got some money sitting there in the bank, or it could be tied up in a SIP, you have the opportunity to release funds. Again, do get financial advice, because we are not here to provide you with financial advice. We're just giving you our opinion, and Jim's giving you sharing his insights. But the other hand, with this money, is by going through the solicitors and the legal people, you've got the opportunity to work with Jim, whether you work as a silent armchair investor, or you can work along with Jim, where his team can purchase a property in your name and renovate it, recycling the funds so they can maximise the equity using the leverage and various principles that he has in his workbook you've got, as well as your material that you're doing, Jim?
That's right. If you email me at jim@hmodaddy.com, I'll send you a JV pack. So you've got the information there and the deals that I have. So just email me, jim@hmodaddy.com, and I'll send you free of charge my JV pack.
Fantastic. On the last point, what one golden nugget that would you have to share for any new person who's coming onto this, a newbie who's looking to get their hands stuck into using options as means of rent to rent through HMOs?
I would give you the advice that actually a leading sports brand has pinched, just do it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jim, and thank you for joining us, and I wish you well in the journey. And that famous saying is, always remember your strategy is important, but your design and passion is what rocks. Thank you once again.